I'm going to try this format now as we go through, how we built this kick-ass ornithopter from the movie Dune. There is no manual, right? So at the end of the day, it's more about just taking a bunch of pictures, looking at them, and then figuring out how you need to crack it. What should be the chassis, what should be the glass on the top, how do you make those windows, how do you fix those windows. For example, over here, I wanted to have this opening and closing sort of a door for the ornithopter. It's pretty easy for you to lift and close. Again, I didn't know how I was going to mount, but I think we did a pretty decent job. My son was, I think, a couple of years younger. I need to give him some sort of an activity, maybe making those seats, and he just sits and paints them and gets them ready. Here what happened was, the body and the tail, we couldn't really match the sizes. The tail was too thin when the body's hole was too big. So now I had to figure out a creative way of how was I going to mount that inside the body, and that's why we came up with that sort of an arrangement. But if you look at how the ornithopter looked in the start, with the tail down, it looked a bit weird, as though it's dead. Then I thought, okay, maybe we should come up with a setup where we lift the tail. If you see, I've just kept a stand there just to give us a feel of what that could look like. If you look at the legs of the ornithopter, I decided to increase the size. Now to mount this, it's not that very easy. You need to come up with creative ways. So what I basically do is usually take this L-shaped boards. If you look at the black ones there, so you place them, you stick them on the bottom, then you create slits. Through these slits, I then place the legs of it. It gives a very different stance. That's one of the main reasons I had to cut the earlier version of the legs and then replace it with a slightly longer one, and it didn't need bottom support or anything. It was just just two straight sheets. That's it. Oh man, making the wings this did take quite a bit of figuring out. If you observe closely, right, I use a lot of masking tape, so once they're over, I've just been keeping them for whatever reason, God knows. So here what I did is I decided to make a hole, and then I've mounted a screw in here. So there's just one big screw with a nut on the bottom, and then for the wings, what we've basically done is we've taken these cardboards, we've slit them straight, into 6 long strings. But then I've also, I had some old, I think for my Mac there was this opaque sort of translucent it's not plastic, it's not paper, something in between that came with it. So I kept it thinking that if I find some purpose for it later on. So finally it came into action. So we cut it to make it feel like dragonfly wings, and then made holes on each of these and mounted them on top of that sellotape or the masking tape ring, right? So if you look at this, it goes really well. The only problem with this, since the wings are too long, keeping them stable is pretty hard, right? For them to just stand by themselves, and especially when they spread out, it's still okay, because there is some amount of balance that the masking tape ring is helping it with. If you see, I've come up with some really crazy ways of how I've set it underneath, because you want to move. If you look at the second and the third pair, I've mounted them on the same ring. The third one, though I placed it inside, it's not easy for you to cut through because it's a round ring, right? So what I did is I made a slit on this ring so that it gives space for the wing to move and get through. All right. And now when the wings are folded, right, the ornithopter cannot balance the wings because the wings hardly have any balance. And then if you leave them for long, they could bend, and it's cardboard, so chances of it just bending and then losing its form is very high. So then I had to come up with another workaround here. The workaround here, if you see, I've put a pipe on the tail, a small little waste pipe. There's also taken a pencil and I just poked it in, used that as support, because the third wing is a lot more shorter, so it can balance by itself, and it has enough support, so it's okay. Then of course the boy doing what he does best, which is painting the entire aircraft. He is the chief aesthetic person for all the crafts that we do together, and he's been doing this for a very long time. This is shocking, because I totally forgot that my younger one, he must have been like, I don't know, 2 years or whatever, or lesser, maybe lesser, I think. That he also contributed to this ornithopter. Really cute looking at them. Oops. It's really funny. Here actually painting took us a long time, because I tried several versions, different shades of grey, and then eventually we settled for a very dark shade of grey. This looked a lot more cooler. So it's just grey with, dark grey with a bit of silver and orange. That's how we played around with it. I think it came out pretty decent, for a first attempt. I think the only drawback of this was also, I think the number of pauses that it took in between, that could have been avoided. Usually when you start any of these projects, if you take a week or two, just go all in and finish them. What happens when you pause and then it takes a break, the momentum gets killed, then you come back a month later, another month later. This took us quite a bit of time because the momentum wasn't there. But I still think we had a fun project. This is good. So enjoy. Hope you can build your own ornithopter, maybe something a lot more advanced than what we have done. So good luck, happy building, cheers.